From the 15th to the 17th century, mighty nomadic peoples, one after another, acknowledged the superiority of sedentary agricultural empires. The territory of nomadic states shrank like shagreen leather. Paradoxically, it was precisely at this time that the Great Steppe gave rise to the last nomadic empire. It could fight on equal terms with the strongest states of that era. The last independent nomadic state was located in northwestern Mongolia and parts of modern Xinjiang. This was the Dzungar, or Oirat Khanate. From ancient times until the 14th-15th century, Mongolian peoples divided their army into left and right wings and a center. The Oirats were part of the common Mongolian army. Those Oirats who formed the left wing became the Dzungars, or Dzungars. The term Dzungars appeared in the early 17th century after the division of the Oirats into northwestern and southeastern groups. The core of the Oirat tribal union consisted of Western Mongolian clan associations: Choros, Durbet, Koshut, and Torgut. The Choros were called Dzungars. In the 16th century, the Torguts and Durbets separated from the other Oirats and resettled in the lower Volga region, inhabiting the steppes of modern Kalmykia. Turkic Muslims called the nomads Kalmyks, considering them to have remained in paganism, that is, Tengriism. This word was later borrowed by the Russians. In the Russian language, the word Kalmyk came to denote the people who were part of the Oirat tribal union. Thus, the new name was established over 2 centuries. In the 17th century, the Durbets and Torguts left the borders of Dzungaria, starting a new life in the western steppes and continuing the traditions of the nomads. 2 streams moved northwest along the Irtysh, pushing the remnants of the Kiri, Uak, Kipchak, and Telengit tribes westward and into the mountainous part of Altai. West of the Irtysh and south of the line of cities, Tyumen, Tobolsk, Tara, Tomsk, the northwestern group of the Oirats settled. It was led by Dalai Batur Taiji and Ko Urlyuk Taiji. The first was married to the sister of the second, so the relatives roamed together in harmony. Later, internal feuds led to a break between them. Ko Urlyuk Taiji took his Torguts and attacked the Nogai nomads. This war ended with the defeat of the Nogai horde and the emergence of the Kalmyk horde in the 1630s. In Saryarka, the Durbets remained under the leadership of Dalai Batur Taiji and the Khoshuts under Kushi Taiji. In the southeastern group, after the death of Khorakul Taiji, a new dynasty ruled. In 1635, the son of Khorakul Taiji, Koto Kotsin, took the title of Kun Taiji, and the Dalai Lama gave him the name Erdeni Batur. This date is considered the birth of Dzungaria. Each Khan bore a title that showed his high status and noble lineage. The title of the ruler of the Dzungar Khanate is Khuntaiji, meaning great ruler. The leader of the Khoshuts, Turu Beku Taiji, conquered lands near Lake Kokonor in 1636 to 1637, driving out the Mongols and Tibetans from these territories. After the year 1636, 4 Oirat hordes appeared: the Kalmyk on the Volga, the Dzungar on Amel, the Koshut on Lake Kokonor, and the Durbek Koshut in Saryarka. Later, 3 hordes formed separate states, but the Saryarka Oirats failed to establish statehood and were conquered by Galdan Boshogtu. Galdan Boshogtu, son of Erdeni Batur, was the Khan of Dzungaria from 1671 to 1697. In the 1750s, Dzungaria experienced a series of misfortunes. After the death of Galdan Seren, a split occurred among the nobility. Some Taiji and Noyans did not recognize Galdan Seren's illegitimate son, Lama Dorji, who seized the Dzungarian throne. Noyan of the Koros Davachi and his allies fled to the Kazakh Middle Jews to Khan Ablai in 1751. The rebellious Durbet Noyans, Saral and Ubashi Tseren, went to the Chinese Emperor Qianlong, turning the conflict into an international one. The Kazakh Khan Ablai quickly adapted and did not hand over the rebels, ignoring Lama Dorji's demands. In 1752, Lama Dorji, with 3 Tumans, invaded the nomadic lands of the Kazakh Middle Jews. The war between the Dzungars and Kazakhs dragged on, but the Dzungars eventually retreated, taking advantage of the absence of troops in the west. In 1752, Kazakh Khan Ablai sent a force of 500 Kazakhs and 150 Oirats, allies of Dawachi and Amursana, to Jetisu. The army quickly bypassed Lake Balkhash and in 1753 stormed the enemy camp. The Khuntaiji Lama Dorji was captured and executed. The new Khuntaiji became Dawachi, but Amursana's claims to half the kingdom remained unsatisfied. Amursana once again turned to Khan Abalay for help. Abalay supplied Amursana with horses and assigned a detachment of troops. Meanwhile, Dawachi sought support from the Altai Tolenguts. In the year 1754, the Tolenguts completely defeated Amursana's detachment, and he fled to the Chinese with 20,000 Khoits. Amursana declared his desire to serve the Chinese Emperor Qianlong, which later served as a pretext for the capture and destruction of Dzungaria. In 1755, a huge Chinese army numbering 50,000 set out for the final conquest of Dzungaria. The army consisted of 10,000 Manchus, 10,000 Khalkha, and 20,000 southern Mongols, divided into two parts. About 10,000 Han were part of the army but did not participate in battles. They performed auxiliary tasks and engaged in agriculture in the new territories. The troops established military infantry settlements to ensure food supplies. The infantry consisted of Manchu tribes, while the cavalry was formed from Mongols and later Oirats, similar to Russian Cossacks and Kalmyks. An army under the command of General Panti arrived from Mongolia. It began the conquest of the Mongolian Altai and eastern Tian Shan, expanding control over these territories. Dawachi avoided battle and fled with a small detachment to the southern Tian Shan, but soon he was captured with the help of the Uyghur Hakim and sent to Beijing. Emperor Qianlong treated Dawachi humanely, and in the year 1759 he died a natural death in Beijing, never experiencing harsh punishments. Meanwhile, General Panti declared the collapse of the Dzungar Khanate. He appointed new Khuntaiji for the Choros, Durbit, Koshut, and Hoyt tribes, creating a new system of governance. Amursana, hoping to receive a part of Dzungaria, ended up with nothing. To pacify his discontent, Panti sent him under escort to Beijing, but Amursana escaped on the way. In his native steppes, Amursana raised a rebellion against China. He gathered the remnants of his army, and in 1755 returned to fight. Panti, confident of an easy victory, disbanded most of the army and remained with 500 warriors surrounded. He was defeated and committed suicide. After the restoration of Dzungarian independence, the Choros Taiji considered it humiliating to obey Amursana, who was only a Noyan of the Hoyt tribe. His mother. She was the younger sister of Khuntaiji Galdan Tseren, so in the eyes of the Choros, she was considered a person of lower status and was not respected. Foreseeing the powerlessness of the Dzungar wolf, the Chinese dragon began preparing for the final and decisive strike in the struggle for power and territory. In 1756, the Qing army, under the command of Manchu General Zhao Hui, marched against the Dzungars, preparing for a large-scale war. Amursana tried to organize resistance and managed to win several small battles, but this did not change the outcome of the war or the situation in the region. In the end, the Manchus, using their numerical superiority and regrouping their forces, defeated the Dzungar people, leading to tragic consequences. A mass extermination of the Oirats began, during which not only warriors but also children, women, and the elderly perished. The peaceful population found itself in the fire of war. In the year 1758, the Dzungar Empire ceased to exist, marking the end of the last nomadic empire in the region. In 1761, this territory became the Qing Viceroyalty named Xinjiang, signifying a new administrative boundary. The Dzungars, especially the rebellious Choros and Khoit tribes, were almost completely destroyed during the Manchu repressions and military actions. The Durbits submitted in time, which helped them suffer less and preserve part of their culture and lives. Remnants of some Dzungar uluses broke through to Afghanistan, Badakhshan, and Bukhara, where local rulers accepted them into military service. Later, the descendants of these uluses adopted Islam and integrated into the local population, changing their traditions and beliefs. One ulus of 10,000 Kibitkas, under the leadership of Noyan Shirang, fought hard to reach the Volga in the Kalmyk Khanate. During their flight, they were pursued by the Manchu Chinese army, which tried by all means to detain the fugitives. It was necessary to delay the army to give the elderly, women, and children a chance to move to a safe place away from the fighting. Many men had already died in battles, and the remaining young Oirat boys had to fight for survival and to protect their families. 15,000 young Oirat boys, despite fatigue and losses, continued the fight, demonstrating strength and will to live. Young people aged 13 to 16 decided to hold back the enemy. These very green boys managed to stop a well-trained punitive army. None of these teenagers survived, but they gave their families a chance to escape. Their feat was incredibly important and valuable. The mountain pass through which the Oirats retreated is called the Dzungarian Gates. This route was strategically important for troop movements. According to the Kazakhs and Kyrgyz living there, the wind from these gates long carried the corpse smell of the fallen Dzungars in the bloody battle. When asked why the Dzungar Khanate fell, the answer is very simple. Historians explain the reasons for the decline of this state. A state that waged aggressive and defensive wars for hundreds of years was maintained only thanks to strong and far-sighted leaders. As soon as weak and incapable contenders appear among the rulers, problems begin and the state starts to fall. This marks the beginning of the end for any such state. The Dzungar Khanate perished at the peak of its power. It almost completely lost the people who once created it, and with them disappeared its strength and authority.